All right. Well, hello everyone, and thank you for joining our virtual panel discussion today. I would like to talk about driving B2B revenue growth, Salesforce Commerce versus Shopify Plus. I would like to introduce our guest for today. We'll start with myself. My name is Alex Kolsinchenko, Managing Director at Forte Digital. And we have invited Victoria Eisenberg, Regional Vice President, Salesforce Commerce Cloud from Salesforce. Victoria, would you mind introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Victoria Eisenberg. I go by Vicky. I've been with Salesforce, well, by way of Demandware. I came in through the acquisition in 2016, but I've been with Salesforce Commerce Cloud for about 13 and a half years, which is pretty crazy. I also have been selling our B2B commerce solutions since 2018 when we acquired Cloud Craze. So been here quite a bit. I live outside of Fort Lauderdale with my husband, my 4 children, who are, by the way, home from school. So you might see some people pop in, maybe, and our golden retriever. So I'm honored to be here today. Thank you so much for including me.
Thank you, Victoria. And also we invited Mike Ear, Director of Marketing from Armor Express. Mike?
Thanks, Alex. Thanks for the invite. Mike Iyer, I've been with Armor Express. We're a producer of basically custom-made to-order body armor for law enforcement, federal government, and military in the United States. I've been here about 3 years, but been in the defense industry for 15 or so. And I hail from Virginia Beach, Virginia, here with my wife, 2 daughters, and 2 Australian Shepherds.
Awesome. Well, I'd like to start the conversation, and starting with the first topic is why B2B companies choose Salesforce Commerce. I think, Victoria, question for you, with your extensive experience at Salesforce Commerce Cloud, what are the key advantages that business can gain from Salesforce Commerce compared to Shopify, particularly for B2B?
Sure. Thank you for the question. So I just kind of wanted to start by addressing the fact that while I do work at Salesforce Commerce Cloud, I do recognize that we have competitors in the market, and each of our competitors has a great value proposition. In fact, my husband not the other day, a couple of months ago, launched a website on Shopify, and he absolutely loves it. So to say that I'm aware of value that exists across the ecosystem is just an understatement. So I recognize that everyone is different, but I'm here today to kind of share our value, Salesforce Commerce Cloud's value, and hopefully that differentiates itself in the market. So back to your question. I really have 3 different areas that I'd like to explore. And we've actually, just to throw out a stat there, we have found that companies see about an average of 29% revenue increase from switching from legacy channels to Salesforce Commerce Cloud. And that was a survey done across a lot of our customers. So a fun stat to share. But the first advantage I really want to talk about is what I'll call advanced B2B commerce functionality. The most important thing to call out is that our B2B platform is specifically built for B2B. We do have another B2C solution that's specifically built for B2C, but this B2B solution has a lot of out-of-the-box functionality for big customers that are highly complex and small customers that don't have much complexity. I'm sure you've heard of companies called Forrester and Gartner, those little research agencies that do reviews of different platforms. And I just like to call out a couple of things that I read on them and that the industry has seen. So the Forrester Wave did a specific evaluation of B2B commerce solutions, and Salesforce was ranked inside of that. We are positioned a leader, and I'm just going to read kind of the 4 things that we scored the highest of any vendor in. One of them was customer account and self-service management. Another one was practitioner UX. The third one was price management, and the fourth one was customer success and support. So we were placed very, very high in the Forrester Wave. To the same end, in the Gartner Magic Quadrant, they also did one for digital commerce, which, by the way, combines B2C and B2B in one, just to note that. But we were positioned as the leader and ranked as number 1 for completeness of vision and ability to execute. We were really, what it all came down to was the completeness of vision around our product strategy. We really focus on our idea of composability, harmonized data, which I'll talk about a lot in this session here, and trusted AI, which were the defining features of the future of commerce. So back to the advanced kind of functionality, some things that we offer: account hierarchies, custom pricing, quote management, and complex workflows. And we found that those capabilities are extremely important when it comes to working with B2B transactions. The second advantage that I'll talk about is really around our core Lightning platform. I'm sure you've read about Salesforce and know we have a bunch of clouds that we offer. They're all built on one single platform, which really helps for the implementation piece, which we'll also get to in a minute. But that means that our B2B system is native integration to Sales Cloud, Experience Cloud, Revenue Cloud, Order Management, Service Cloud. The list goes on, but the point is it's very integrated. Gartner calls that out as one of our strengths. So they say we have strong personalization and the ability to access customer, product, and order data all from a single application, which is transformative for our customers. I'm sure, Mike, you will talk about this later, but that is a huge reason why customers choose Salesforce. Having customer data live on one single system makes our customers be able to see their customers from a single lens, which really, really helps differentiate ourselves in the market. And I do want to just highlight that customers will have to purchase those clouds separately from B2B commerce. So just spokesperson for the fact that there will be a conversation about that, but that's a huge, huge differentiator of ours. And the third and final one that I'll talk about, Mark Benioff would be so proud of me for mentioning this, but artificial intelligence, obviously the hot topic of the market these days. But we bring artificial intelligence out of the box within our B2B system. We call it Einstein for B2B commerce, which includes things like Einstein Search. So part of our search format, AI-powered recommendations, predictive sort, analytics, all of these things are out of the box. They do not require a third party to come in and do artificial intelligence, which is a huge benefit for Salesforce. You'll hear a lot of that resonate throughout my questions and answering, where things just come out of the box to make it simple. Einstein, so back to some stats. Einstein, we've reported through our customers, has helped developers and admins automate processes 27% faster. So I can imagine, Mike, you and your team would love to have something just working much faster and automated and having more things out of the box so they don't have to manage all those integrations. It really is a big differentiator. So I'd also be remiss not to mention GPT, which is now launched within Salesforce core ecosystem. So we have it as part of our B2B commerce implementations. And we can talk more about that at another time. We could do a whole webinar on that, but I did want to call it out as a big differentiator. So I could go on for days, but those are the three big things that I think would be advantages of Salesforce Commerce Cloud.
That's awesome. Thank you, Victoria. Mike, question for you. A year ago, Armor Express launched Gear Up e-commerce solution, which it's a new portal for your distributor customers empowered by Salesforce Commerce. My question is, what challenges did you have with your previous solution, and why you choose Salesforce Commerce for the Gear Up portal?
So as we looked into e-commerce at Armor Express, historically we had no e-commerce presence. We didn't have a storefront at all, and our existing customer portal was very basic. We're a small business, and many of our customers, they're starting to get comfortable with e-commerce and doing business online, as opposed to the good old way of sending POs over an email or mail or fax. So because of that, our existing portal did not have two-way functionality. It was purely a interface that was custom built by a developer to provide our customers with basic order information and updates, basically post-order info for them. But it was limited in capability. It didn't offer any sort of customization that didn't require us to pay a developer to do. And that also included any updates that we wanted. So I couldn't go in there and do anything I wanted to do. I couldn't update product information, order information. It was purely a one-way street to display customers' orders on the screen. We wanted to improve the value that we brought our customers in the industry to give them a better online experience and better transparency into their orders than anyone else. As I mentioned, we're not selling alpha-sized products that are sitting on a shelf. We're doing custom-sized, similar to what you would buy a business suit, and it's made to order. And so because of that, our customers need to know how long the production timelines are for those items. As you can imagine, like many manufacturers, COVID and other things that have taken place recently, manufacturing is all over the place, supply chains all over the place. And we want the end users buying our products from our distribution to have the most accurate information possible so they can plan for it. This isn't just an inconvenience for one of our end users if they don't get a suit for a few extra weeks, because these people are depending on our product to keep them safe as they're patrolling the streets or as they're overseas. So not having your armor for an extended period of time could mean significant consequences. So it's very important we're giving them accurate info that they can then pass on. In terms of why we chose Salesforce, one of the biggest drivers for us was we wanted to limit the number of systems that our personnel had to work in. And we had already been leveraging Salesforce CRM to manage our sales pipeline, as well as all of our post-order issues for customer service. And so the ability for us to integrate commerce, where our salespeople are already using that one platform every day to handle their quotes, their customer interface, and then customer service as well, to also manage all of our e-commerce presence, product information, and then processing those orders, really streamlined for us the integration costs, the learning required internally, and the deployment timeline we would need to get it all done and in place.
No, that totally makes sense. Thank you, Mike, for sharing those details. Let's talk about implementing the transition and what's the challenges are there. Victoria, question for you. What are some common challenges companies face when they're replatforming from Shopify to Salesforce Commerce Cloud? Could you share insight into how to address those challenges effectively?
Sure. And thank you, Mike, for saying a lot of things that you just said I'm about to say. So at least it's the same. But for this question, Alex, I did my homework. So I did a lot of research. I mean, I've been selling it for quite some time now, but I really wanted to get into the nuts and bolts of someone that's done it before. So I surveyed a few people, two of which are current solution engineers here at Salesforce Commerce Cloud, and both of them have come from current Salesforce B2B customers. So they actually did the migration from platforms, one of which was Shopify. So I am kind of aware of some things that are important. So I wanted to kind of talk through those today. The first of which is data migration. So, customer information, product data, order history, all from Shopify to Salesforce. It can be complex sometimes because of the various systems, like Mike just mentioned, that data exists within. And remember, the more systems that you have plugged into your current platform, the more that data is disparate. So bringing it all together into one platform like Salesforce is fun. It's a whole experience to implement, but it is something we do need to talk about. And I'll say, coming from Shopify, it is quite common to have third-party applications as plugins. I've seen that from a lot of customers that have come over, and streamlining that data all into one system is something that we definitely need to talk about. The second one, same kind of sentiment, is around customizations. So Shopify and Salesforce, or really any other system in Salesforce, have different architectures just to begin with. And it's common for customers to come over and feel like the world is their oyster because there's so much out of the box that comes with Salesforce Commerce Cloud, and trying to figure out what customizations existed on their current instance of their platform and what will no longer need to be a customization here at Salesforce Commerce Cloud. So that's something that a lot of customers will try to figure out. And it's important. One of the word of cautions, as I'll say, is to try to prioritize essential features from day one, because there are so many out of the box that come with us. But sometimes it's overwhelming to say, I want all of it. And then, implementations can be crazy. So what we really recommend most of the time, and I'm sure you're used to this, Alex, at Forte, but having phased approaches. So starting with an initial, here are the essential features, here are the essential customizations, and then phase 2, phase 3, and building on top of it and consistently thinking about that. Same kind of note is around integration. So planning around what the critical integrations are from day one is important. So if you think about payment processing or shipping or functionalities like that are must-haves, are important for day one. I'd be silly not to mention Salesforce Payments as an option that we've launched in the past couple of years. It's our payment service provider. It works on our core ecosystem. So not only for B2B, but also for D2C, which is also built on our core ecosystem. It provides security and flexibility, and also allows you to not have another integration that you have to put into Salesforce Commerce Cloud. So definitely thinking around integrations. And the final point that's kind of different that I'll make is, we mentioned this, I believe it was the Forrester Wave called out that we're very good at onboarding and helping our customers become successful customers. So I'll call it training and onboarding. Salesforce has a ton of different options to make sure our customers are successful. So whether it's Trailhead, which I don't know if you guys have heard of Trailhead, or Mike, if you visit it frequently, which I'm sure you do. We call them trailblazers, that are customers that really are on the cutting edge of the platform. But they're able to log into Trailhead. It's a completely free and public website to anyone. And you can learn the systems. There are little quizzes where Salesforce employees also take these quizzes to learn more about our systems. And that way you don't have to take courses. You can do it on your own time. We have a documentation portal, so developers can log in and ensure that they have all the questions answered that they need. We have something called a Salesforce certification. So developers and others of the like can take courses and become certified in Salesforce products, which I've learned recently that people create their whole careers around Salesforce certifications and can really skyrocket because of those. Events and webinars, success plans, things like that really keep our customers safe and whole. So I highly recommend for anyone transitioning to look into the support that our platform provides. I think that's all I wanted to discuss on that point.
Thank you, Victoria. Mike, transitioning to a new e-commerce platform can be a significant undertaking. We've done it a lot, but can you share insight into the implementation process, the challenges you faced, and how Armor Express successfully navigated and to this transition?
So my experience is probably unique to what many go through when implementing a big system like this. We're again a small business, and so many of our folks are wearing multiple hats. It's not a large corporation where you've got teams that you can dedicate to an initiative like this. This was one of 50 things I was responsible for at that time, outside of marketing, as we implemented. But I also had the unfortunate circumstance of losing our IT manager portion of the way through the early implementation. So it really was me carrying the torch with it. So because of that, some of the things that I would highly recommend for anyone going into this is you really, the old saying is measure twice, cut once. You should map out your customer journey, required features and required capabilities 15 times before you commit to anything, because otherwise, once you get into the implementation, it gets infinitely more complex to go back and change things, and you don't understand all of the requirements to change certain infrastructure in the system after you've already gotten partway down the road. So understanding clearly what you want the end game to look like is critical before you dig in. The next thing I would say is evaluating your IT infrastructure that exists today. You don't want to just look at what you have today, but what you want it to be 3 years from now. Is there anything else that makes sense to upgrade or migrate to a different solution at this time? It's much easier to do now when you're doing the initial implementation than going back and having to redo a lot of work with something new a year down the road. I would also say something else that created several issues during our implementation was making sure we understand all of the nuances of existing software and integrations that we utilize. And is there any considerations with the platform you're going to be adding? So Salesforce comment, what ERP system were we using? What payment solution were we using? Are there any custom developed solutions that we were using for things like managing our production cycle, things like that, and understanding what requirements are in place for those to successfully integrate into Salesforce before you dig into the implementation plan. And last thing for anybody digging in is making sure that once you've developed your implementation plan, setting clear expectations internally on what timelines look like, what budget looks like. And most importantly for me is, again, as someone in a small business where everyone's doing a lot of different roles, how much of other teams' time am I going to need to make this successful? Because it's very difficult to dig into an implementation and then not get the support you need from a certain area. That can bog down the entire project.
Yeah, and from partner perspective, right? Technologically, there's no challenges, honestly, because it's all about data transformation, right? Export data from one system, load it to a different system, and the process itself can help with that. And tools that comes with Salesforce. But my take is it's a commitment from the client to be available and stick to that commitment, right? Because through all the project lifecycle, once you start a project, it's hard to allocate time to work with the partner and provide all the business requirements, right? To make sure that the partner delivers the solution that the customer envisions. And the other thing is, like, when somebody transitions from different platform to a Salesforce platform, a lot of partners, including us, we do have the starter stores, right? Or starter packages that include all the pre-built integrations with different systems, right? So you don't need to reinvent the wheel and build that solution, from scratch. It's pretty much ready to go, and just a modification to tailor to your business needs and requirements, right? Plus all the tuning the processes. But yeah, I think that's what I kind of experienced through all the transitions from different platforms to Salesforce myself as well. All right, so let's talk about the outcomes and ROI. Maybe Victoria, how does Salesforce Commerce Cloud empowers B2B businesses to improve their customer experience, increase revenue, and drive profitability?
I like to call this the money question, where it's like someone's like, why am I choosing Salesforce Commerce Cloud? How am I going to make money? Right. And this is a very common question in like RFPs and RFIs that we experience. And lucky for us today, I've done like 18 million of them over my years here at Commerce Cloud. So hopefully the things that I've collected are resonating with the audience here today. So the first one, and I mentioned this before, but I'll go a little bit more detail, is around our unified commerce platform, and really just unified platform. I mentioned that most of our products are built on our core Lightning platform, and therefore they integrate very well with products that accentuate our B2B system. So the first of which is Sales Cloud. Mike, you mentioned that you do have our CRM system, which really helps drive our B2B commerce platform. I will say that you don't need Sales Cloud to launch B2B commerce, so make that crystal clear. But it does help with account management and things of the sort. But Sales Cloud, the integration that exists natively, helps customers manage their e-commerce operations, customer relationships, and sales processes all from a single platform, which gives like a very cohesive and streamlined experience, both for customers like Mike, but also for the end customer, because all of their data lives in one system. I'll also say Service Cloud is a huge is one that's commonly used by our customers because it allows excellent customer support. So customer inquiries that are addressed efficiently. And then it also allows you to do like the chat functionality, and it allows it to show straight on the screen instead of having to go, Mike, you mentioned having to log into different systems. This allows it all showing on one interface, which is a game changer for our customers. The last one that I'll call out that's really important around unified is our Revenue Cloud system. That allows for subscription management all through B2B commerce. So when we talk about very robust functionality through Commerce Cloud, all of these kind of unlock a new level of craziness when it comes to Salesforce. Alex, you're back. We lost you.
I'm back. Sorry, something happened with my internet. I just dropped, and I'm like, well, what's going on? And then
Don't worry.
Pick it up and run with it once Victoria finished, but you popped in at the perfect time.
Yes. Yeah, sorry
but
about that.
I had really good things to say, Alex. You just missed them.
Yes, sorry.
But I'll finish. So one was around the unified commerce platform. Next three things are really more intricate details around like personalization and customer segmentation, things you typically see on a B2C storefront. We also have put into B2B with our Einstein system. So real-time on-site automation around advanced segmentation, targeting, analyzing the customer data, and pushing things like recommendations, pricing, and content that are all created automatically in front of the customers, making the end customer quite happy. We have custom pricing and quoting. So for our advanced B2B customers, not so much the simple customers, but the more advanced ones will need things for quote management and negotiation and approval of workflows and things like that. Those are all possible with Commerce Cloud out of the box. Also things like workflow automation. Instead of having to do things manually, your team is now able to automate it all. So it minimizes errors, it accelerates the workflow, makes just the customer users a little bit more able to attend to different needs. The last thing I'll mention is really around scalability and flexibility. So when choosing Commerce Cloud, it's a lifetime platform. So you can start small and need very like elementary types of needs and then grow into a very robust global operation through B2B commerce. We support things like EDI. So a lot of our customers won't do all of their purchases just through their website that we host for them. We can also support an integration into EDI so you can take your orders in any which way and compile them all into the same customer and order data. So that's quite beneficial. So hopefully those things help.
Thank you, Victoria. Mike, so question, I guess, for you as well. I mean, many businesses are concerned about, the return on investment, especially in the transition to the new commerce platform. What about outcome. What outcomes did Armor Express expect from moving, to Salesforce Commerce, and what are those expectations? Were they met for you guys?
Definitely, and some, like many projects, some things came sooner than expected, some things took a little longer to achieve than expected. But when we went into this, our primary goal was providing a better experience to our distribution customers, but the secondary goal was really creating a lot more accurate and streamlined data internally. We have long sales cycles for our products. It's not like somebody's walking in and ordering that day. In many cases, it takes 3 to 6 months for us to close sales. So managing everything in one place in Salesforce was critical for us to decrease the time it took our team to do their functions. And that's our sales team, who's predominantly out in their cars or flying different places out in the field, to our customer service and order entry teams that are in the office. A lot of what we were doing was all manual, and they had to access multiple systems to do that. And so by leveraging Commerce Cloud, we've been able to, for our internal resources, decrease requirements on our sales team. They can now go to one system and do everything they need, and they can utilize this e-commerce system to handle a lot of the daily admin work that they were doing on their own. It also allows the distribution customers that they're serving to self-serve for a lot of information that they had previously had to reach out to get. As I mentioned, we had a pretty basic customer portal before. This new customer portal, we've actually utilized other solutions like Alteryx to collate data from a variety of systems. And whereas we used to just provide an estimated ship date that we calculated up front, and that's what the customer got the entire time, we've now set up a pretty complex algorithm internally where we're calculating and sharing every line of an order with our customers so they can see where it is in the production process, when we expect it to be ready to ship, and when the order should be shipping out to them. And that gets updated daily for our customers and displays all of that order information for them. It also gives them a lot more data about each order than they had previously. Not all of our customers have the best record keeping internally. This allows them to rely on us to provide all the records for all the business they've done with us at their fingertips through our portal. They don't have to keep everything on their own organized. They can look up who they sold our products to, what the product details were. We collect up to 10 data points per SKU that we sell. All of that is collected and displayed for the customer on their orders and searchable to them. So it really created a ton of self-service that decreased resource requirements on our order entry team and on our customer service teams. And we could reallocate those resources to other areas that the business needed, which for us was critical. We're a small business, and anytime we can free up resources or funds to dedicate elsewhere, that's a huge value proposition for us. I would say the last thing that it did for us from a marketing standpoint, our primary sales, our tool for our distribution was catalogs. By adopting this e-commerce platform, I can now every day give our distributors access to every configurable product we sell, up-to-date pricing information, and the ability to do all of that on the fly in front of their customers. So we completely eliminated the need for my team to have to create and then spend the money to produce tens of thousands of catalogs per year. Again, giving better information. Catalogs are out the date the second I produce it. This is up to date every day, but it also freed up money and time from our team to dedicate elsewhere to provide better service to our customers.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And I think it's all about the process optimization, saving time, and time is money, right? And I think with Salesforce, not to be biased, but I think it's a great tool because not only you have visibility to everything within the system, and you can totally control the customer journey, expose all this functionality and self-serve, right? And that give your team extra time to sell. No, that's awesome. Let's talk about maybe best practices and recommendations. To achieve better revenue growth, what advice would you offer to businesses currently thinking about Shopify, or they're already on Shopify and considering the transition to the Salesforce Commerce? Victoria, what
Sure.
would you recommend?
Sure. This is great because this is right up my alley of making recommendations to our customers to make sure they have a streamlined process. So I have 5 things that I always recommend of all of my customers. First of all, go through a requirements document. So evaluate the B2B specific features that you require, look at it against what Salesforce Commerce Cloud offers out of the box, look at it against what our competitors might have out of the box, and figure out, what's the most important thing to have. Those can be like account hierarchies, custom pricing, complex workflows, split shipments, even advanced order management. These things are highly complex that don't exist in many platforms that aren't built specifically for B2B. So remembering to look through the B2B specific features and figuring out which ones are most important. The second one is around, I talked about this before, but I'll hit on it again because it's very important, is integration requirements and data migration planning. And I don't necessarily just mean for the core, for the commerce platform. I also mean for everything down to order management, supply chain, ERP, and then backup, because let's remember the customer data does flow down and order data and then comes back up. And as Mike said, we expose it back to the customer. So that's a huge differentiator of Salesforce Commerce Cloud to be able to do all of that. So figuring out what that workflow looks like and what pieces need to exist. The other piece of that is around third-party planning. I've mentioned this a few times, but third parties with regards to the plugins, but also third parties with regards to like your ERP and what your CRM is. Mike mentioned worlds get a lot better if it's Sales Cloud that's your CRM that you're using, but of course we're not limited to just that. You can use a different CRM and have it work quite similarly. Another one, probably, and again, the money question, but a cost analysis. This is in every single evaluation that I've ever seen. The one thing I'll mention is to make sure that there's an apples to apples comparison. What a lot of our customers like to do is look at the licensing cost and decide, that's what's going to be the decision-making factor. But I highly recommend looking at like a 3 to 5 year TCO of the platform that includes licensing, but also includes the third parties, also includes the maintenance and ongoing support and the upgrades and all of those types of things that have to go with evaluating a system. Many customers don't change platforms every year. So a forecast out of 3 to 5 years is very important. Mike also mentioned this, but involving stakeholders early. So he mentioned, I think you said your IT guy left midway, but I've been in many different evaluations where we start with, let's say, the IT team, and they're like, we need a better system. This is what we need to talk about. And then once we're close to the finish line, they're like, okay, wait, hang on. We got to bring in our marketing team, and we got to bring in our CEO, and we got, everyone starts to show up last minute. So if you are looking to move quickly, or if you do want to have a huge plan in place, I will say it is important to get feedback from the different stakeholders throughout your business, because everyone kind of has different requirements. And let's remember, everyone kind of touches the system in some shape and form. So it is important to gather input. And the last and final thing, I mentioned the phase approach before. A lot of our customers start with the phase 1, go to phase 2 and whatnot. Prepare for post-migration optimization. So don't just plan for that first phase and hope that it's all going to be great. Remember what it's going to be in phase 2 and phase 3 and assign dates and times and bodies to those projects to make sure that the final implementation is exactly how you'd like it to be.
Mike, what about you? Any best practices and recommendations?
Well, Victoria did a great job summing everything up there. That was, how am I supposed to follow that?
My bad, Mike. It's what I do.
I mean, a lot of what I spoke on earlier, just regarding what to do when we were transitioning, was just going to be mirrored here. But in terms of best practices, I think it really comes to my experience. The more you can leverage the internal team and centralize a platform like this to your company, the better performance you're going to get out of it, because everyone becomes a stakeholder. It's much easier, standing up an e-commerce store standalone, you don't get as much buy-in there. But in our company, we found a way to benefit almost every business unit within our company, or every department within our company, that helped them in turn free up resources to dedicate elsewhere. Because of that, everyone's bought into it. They want to see it succeed. They give the time they need to it. They value the what it brings to our company, and they come with different ideas of how to enhance the system that maybe I wouldn't have thought of. So, it's not just about getting it stood up. I would say it's about ongoing inclusion of everyone throughout the company as well, because you never know what else you might be able to do. A small update in the system that may seem minuscule could have significant ramifications elsewhere in another department.
Yeah. I mean, from my side, and Victoria, you highlighted it already, and Thank you. And it's hard to follow. Um, it's a phased approach. I think some customers, and from our experience, it's basically they want everything at once, and the project can grow and grow and grow. So is budget, right? And then they come back and say, "Well, I don't want to pay that much money because it's not was original budget." So I think that to your point, it's a phased approach, right? It's a minimal valuable product which will get your return on investment right out of the door. And then it's very important to listen to your customers. We had few implementations where solution was deployed, based on understanding of the company, how it was going to function and work and benefit customers. But then customers start using it like, well, that's not what we want. So I think it's very important to have that phase when you launch a new commerce solution, to have certain time allocated to get feedback from your customers and start working on the phase two enhancements, right? You don't want to go all the way out and deliver a solution that's not going to work for your customers.
I
I think
have
that's
had
also
I have had customers include their customers in the sales cycle just to see what they'd want out of it. It's been fun to do that, just to kind of see, and I've had them actually test the solution versus what they're currently using. So customers do involve their customers in the process as well, because they care so tremendously about what they want.
I
yeah
can't say enough about that point. Some of the customers that we did involve in the testing phases and some of our early adopters, I feel like they've done more to help further adoption of the system and make it what increases usage from other customers than we did internally, because they now feel like they are a stakeholder and they're part of the team in making it better when you bring them into the fold, so to speak.
Totally.
100%. Well, but that's great topic and discussion we have here. But let's just take maybe questions from the audience to see what if you have any questions there. Double check here. Right. So there's a couple questions. Let's just see if we can provide the feedback on that. So first question I have is, could you provide a bit more details on how Salesforce help handle product customization options? Victoria, do you want to start? I mean, I can also kind of give my feedback on that as well.
Sure. Why don't you start and I'll think about my
Okay.
answer.
So there's multiple options available on Salesforce platform, right? From our personal experience, first of all, there's product variations. It's not really customization, but you can modify the solution to handle certain customization with defined rules, right? When you select different variants of the product. Secondly, if it's more complex customization, it could be custom solution, right? Depending on your budget, or you can use Salesforce CPQ, which is part of Revenue Cloud, which gives you this flexibility to basically set up your catalog, your pricing rules, your product rules, and expose that on the Commerce Cloud, right? Where user can actually go to product details page and start doing customization of the product. Not all the cases will work, right? And that some customization needs to be done on Salesforce Commerce as well. But majority of time, what we're seeing that's going to be a great solution for you. There's also other partners, like Logic.io. I mean, they have this virtual, customization available as well. But that all depends on your business needs, business requirements, and how you would like to manage that.
I will say, Alex, that based on sorry, Mike, if you were going to jump in too, but on that point too, I have seen, because my first point on how our platform is built for B2B business needs first, the amount of customizations that you're able to have on Salesforce Commerce Cloud for B2B needs is more than what I see on our B2C side. So, when we think of customizations and options, you're right on all of the partners or customizations that we could build in, but typically out of the box, it meets the needs of a lot of our customers from the get-go.
Yeah.
As a user of the system who has a very complex product catalog, I could say we've gotten to the point where most parent products have up to 5 selectable options that'll get you down to a SKU. And then on top of that, we're collecting 10 additional data points, which are all custom configured per product family. And there's plenty of other things we will be growing into as we work to enhance the system for our customers from there. But it's been very user-friendly to get those implemented and administered on an ongoing basis as we update our product catalog.
Yeah, I hope it answered the question. But yeah, I mean, there's so many ways to handle it in the platform that it all depends. Okay, the second question that I have here is, what advice would you give to a company looking to connect Shopify store from and the Salesforce order management system?
Sure. I mean, Alex, I'm sure you have some great answers around here, but one thing I will say is that is entirely possible. So I know I spoke a lot about the benefits of using all one system on Commerce Cloud, on Salesforce, sorry. But it is entirely possible to use a Shopify store and Salesforce order management system and plug them in together. In fact, we've seen that happen before. I will recommend, with order, when I talk about commerce going to order management to ERP and backup, using systems that are well interconnected. So it's really about the connections that the data flows properly. Using something like Service Cloud and order management are built on the same system, and that pass through, the data pass through on the same platform is highly beneficial. So if it's not the B2B platform that we offer, I recommend the backend system be quite similar on the same platform.
Yeah, and actually, we do have a package for that. We recently released connected to Shopify to Salesforce order management and the CRM itself. Essentially, allows you to go and configure connection endpoints and then seamlessly synchronize data. When order comes from Shopify, it goes to Salesforce for order servicing as well as customer relation, and push all that base back to Shopify. Because Salesforce has the open API, right? So you can definitely write your own component to connect, or you can use pre-built components. That's Forte offers. I'm sure other partners have as well. But it's no limitation, right? There's not really a limit that you can connect both systems as needed. All right. One more question I have here: How does the best work with existing third-party apps when transitioning to Salesforce, other e-commerce platforms? I think let me just rephrase it. So the question is, how do existing third-party apps work when you transition into Salesforce Commerce, if I understand the question correctly? So meaning that if you already have a commerce solution, right, and then you would like to transition to Salesforce, but you already have those apps.
One thing I highly recommend in doing, and remember, I'm the salesperson, not the technical detailed person. I'll leave that to you too. But one thing I highly recommend that I do frequently is do like an apps, download. So if we do like call it a QUIP document, or we do a Excel document of what you have today and all the apps you have listed and what your world would look like in Salesforce. It's very often that we have a lot of checkboxes of this comes out of the box. You can potentially not work with this anymore. Here's a lot out of the box. I've seen, and this is just my experience, I've seen some transfer from another system be up to like 40 applications saved just by having something out of the box within Salesforce Commerce Cloud. So the ROI goes up there, the ease of use goes up there, the data existing in one system is just much better. So I have seen that comparison. That's the first step I highly recommend doing, is going through all your applications, figuring out what your world would look like on Salesforce Commerce Cloud and realizing the benefits of that.
Yeah, I think it's pretty busy. That's pretty good suggestions.
Yes.
All right. Let's see what else we have here. Any other questions? I think that's pretty much all for today. I don't see anything else. Well, with that said, I'd just like to wrap this up and kind of highlight what we discussed. We talked about, why B2B companies choose the Salesforce Commerce. We talked about implementing the transition. We talked about outcome and ROI, and then we talked about best practices and recommendation. I think kind of summarized that. Any other takeaways you guys want to share, and about Salesforce Commerce and can help drive B2B growth?
No, I would just say the discussion doesn't have to stop here. You can reach me through LinkedIn or email addresses, but thank you guys all for joining today for this webinar. And thank you, Alex. You were such a great moderator, and your whole team put together such a great show. So thank you very much.
I appreciate the invite as well. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for your time. Greatly appreciate it. And thank you, audiences, for spending time today listening to us. And I'd like to invite you to join us on the LinkedIn and follow us. As well as if you have any additional questions, please reach out or visit our fortedigital.com for more information. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.